on, and we got to get on television. We're still not on television. So tell us, I mean, how are we going to get there? How are you going to push us all there?
Well, we definitely need more writers. We need more women who will produce, okay? Because, let me give you my last example of what I think real leadership is. You know, when I started as an actress, and I was even ashamed to admit to people that I was an actress because I thought, oh, I'm overweight and I'm not a white woman, because I thought, oh, you have to be a white, beautiful woman to be an actress. And then I had a Latina friend who was okay looking, and she said she was going to be an actress, and I went, okay, if she can say it, I can say it, right? And so I said, okay, I'm going to be an actress, right? So I went to the High School for the Arts, and then my teacher told me, you know, basically that, and she was great. She wasn't putting me down. She was saying that, you know, it's a very racist, sexist industry, and you need to lose weight if you're going to make it as an actress. And that's when I went, oh, wow. And then I said, wait a minute, they're going to ask me to lose weight, and then next they're going to ask me to dye my hair, they're going to ask me to, like, change my name to Jennifer Lopez or some other, like, you know, starlight or something. I don't know, you know, like, they're going to, no, back then especially, they would ask you to change your name to a white name.
That's right.
And I remember when I was told, like, I remember when she told me that, and that's when I said, wow, I have to give up me to be an actress. And I said, there's something wrong with that, you know? And I remember when I was 18, I remember thinking, I'm ashamed for being Mexican because society tells me there's something wrong with me. I'm supposed to be ashamed because I'm overweight. I'm supposed to be ashamed because I'm a woman. I'm supposed to be ashamed because of all the things that are wrong with me. And I remember thinking, if I pursue an acting career where I have to basically be ashamed to be who I am, then I don't want to be that, because an artist can't create on top of shame, okay? So then that's when you know, and I remember, like, the teacher saying, you know, it's because they need all these thin, beautiful women because the men are always the heroes of the story. And that's when I went, well, then maybe I should start writing. Because even then, you know, Luis Valdez, who I loved his work, I remember reading all of his work, and he wasn't even writing about women.
That's right.
The roles of women were flat, and he will tell you the same. And I remember thinking, okay, well then, you know, if the reason they have to have thin women is because men are all the heroes, then hey, maybe in my stories, women will be the heroes. And that's when I took up writing. So I started writing all these plays, and then, you know, I thought, oh, great, you know, and then no one will produce my plays in Los Angeles. And I'm like, oh, great, here I am a writer, no one's gonna produce my plays. So then I kept trying, and then I would get these stupid racist remarks and commentary, and I was like, my favorite word, right? Anyway, and then I said, okay, all right, no one's producing my work, I'm gonna learn to produce. So then I started producing my plays, and then I was doing it very successfully, and then I didn't have my own theater, and then I said, well then I'll have to have my own theater, right? And so then I started my own theater, it's 15 years, and then I you know, I was writing screenplays, and after Real Women Have Curves, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna get more movies made. It's been over 12, 13 years now, and I'm like, oh my God, no one's producing my plays. So, okay, I'm gonna have to become a film producer. So I produced my first film, right? And so now I'm like, shoot, I can't get distribution, you know? I'm thinking, shoot, I'm gonna have to learn to be a distributor, you know? And so one of the things that I've learned, and I wanna tell you ladies and everyone here, is that every time you come across a problem, the problem is never the problem. The problem is that you see yourself as way too small, okay? Anytime you go, oh, I can't do that, whatever, it's like, no. You're hitting up against your boundary or the wall of what you think you are. That's all you're hitting. When you're hitting up against the wall, you're just hitting your boundary. And in that moment, what you do is, instead of thinking, oh, how do I, you know, who do I, you go, no. Let me come back and let me expand. Okay, let me learn more skills, let me meet more people, let me expand. And when you expand, guess what? You become so big, that little wall, you just walk over it, right? And then eventually you'll hit up against another wall, and then you just keep expanding. And so that's what I've learned, is that every time I think I have a problem, it's not a problem, is that I just think I'm thinking too small.
Very powerful, amazing. Well, let me stop with that, because I think the audience wants to ask a couple of questions. Angela?
Yeah, does anybody have a question? I usually pass out cards, but I think we're an intimate group here, so I don't know if anybody wanted to stand up and ask a question.
I didn't quite ask it. So what's ahead for me? So what's ahead for me is, you know, we're hoping to do, again, 1,001 stories someday. But I have a play opening next weekend called Bad for the Community, which is about gentrification and displacement in Boyle Heights. And we do want the community or anybody who has an opinion to come see the show. And then I'm also working on a musical I'm working with my co-writer, George LaBou, on my next film called Lola Goes to Roma, which is a story about, I wrote it for Lupe Ontiveros. Unfortunately, she passed a couple of years, but it's a story that was kind of a tribute to her, because she was this chingona, she was this goddess, she always had these young men, like, you think, oh, I have to be thin and beautiful, and she was always surrounded by beautiful young men who just who just loved her goddess energy, that I go, I want to be like her when I'm in my 60s, and then, I'm developing lots of TV shows, pitching them around town. I might get to work on television with Michael McDonald, who wrote American Crime, who produced American Crime. And I'm hoping to develop a TV show soon.
That would be great. That would be wonderful to see.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Irene Barragan, and I work here in the Cultural Center. I just wanted to say thank you so much for empowering our Latinas, or telling them that they have the power. Thank you. The most important thing I learned is that the empowerment, that word has been bothering me, and I didn't know why until I sat here and I heard that, because it just comes natural to us. So I just wanted to ask you, as far as teaching young women about the value that they have, what are an advice that you give to college students about how they can help out in their community?
Well, come help me at my theater, because I can use your help if anybody send anyone over. I took a leadership course, and the most powerful things that they taught me was that a leader has a powerful vision for their community, right? And so for me, I remember thinking, oh, what powerful vision do I have for Boyle Heights? And then I thought, right now, especially at the time when I started, Boyle Heights was only known for drive-bys. That was all they would report in the 5 o'clock news, drive-bys. The next drive-by, So I said, my powerful vision of Boyle Heights is that there's an artistic renaissance, and that it's the mecca for Chicano art, and that we have world premieres of plays, galleries, and musicals, like every other month, so that people actually come to Boyle Heights for world premieres. That was my vision, right? So one of the things you can do for young people is, is telling them, reminding them that what's so great about being young is that you don't know how to lie yet. You don't know how to lie to others, or you don't know how to lie to yourself, right? So that young people have the most perfect reality check. They're the ones who kind of know what's really going on, and that they need to continue to honor the fact that they have a great bullshit detector, right? And that bullshit detector is necessary for society, so that what they can bring is a new possibility. Because even my kids, they point stuff out that I go, you're right. I was sharing with you that, I'm in my car putting on my makeup, and my kids go, Mom, why do you always put on makeup? And then I have to explain to them, sexist society. And he goes, but why do you have to do it? And I said, you know what, Mijo, you're right. I have to know that every time I do something, that it has to be a choice, right? And if it's a choice, then it's something that's empowering to me. But if it's not a choice, then it's disempowering to me. So young people have already, it's like they're not broken, they don't need to be fixed. They're the ones that are here to offer us new possibilities, because they're able to see things that we can't see anymore because we bought too many lies. So just remind them that keep that bullshit detector on, okay? You are a contribution to society because you're able to tell the truth, okay? Until you get a mortgage, and then, you can sell out, right?
We have a question back there.
So we have a question here, and then we'll go back here.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Fabiola Flores, and I just want to thank you both for being here and giving us advice as just young Chicanas. I think you brought up a great point where a lot of times our stories aren't told. They're not the very popular ones, If anything, we're just like the servants or just secondary characters. But I wanted to ask, you said it's our role to educate ourselves, but I feel like that's also a challenge and an obstacle, especially when, as I mentioned, our stories aren't being told, our history isn't being told. For many of us, we don't have ethnic studies, we don't have these classes and these courses to help educate us and teach us our history and roots. So many times we don't know, for example, that, in the 60s there was a Chicana movement. Many of us don't know. Many of our sisters who aren't here today, who don't have the opportunity, the access to these sort of workshops, how do you recommend to educate everyone else if we don't have our access to that? Thank you.
Well, one of the things that we're doing at our theater, this is why I started the theater, is we're trying to collect stories from old cholas, you know, like, right? Because I'm sure these cholas, no one ever told them that their life mattered, that they had anything to contribute, right, Mariela?
Yes.
Like we said, you know what, cholas' lives matter, right? Like we decided that, like, I had this older lady come up to me and she said, you know what, a lot of us are dying out. We have all this wisdom, and I said, you know what, you're right. We need to sit down and we need to empower women to teach them to write so they can write it down. And we need to empower women to go talk to these women. So I think one of the things that we're doing and other people can do is say, you know what, we have to document our history and her story, right? And so I know at our theater, you know, we do Chicana Cholas y Chisme to say, look, these 14 stories of these 14 very different Latina women, they matter. And they teach you about what it is to be a woman and what is to, and then what you'll get is by watching these plays, you'll go, I've got a story too. I've got something important to say. I have an important lesson that I've learned that I want other women to do that. So I would say that, I mean, that's one of the ways that I would do it. I think, you know, like, I am constantly educating myself. I might go get a master's degree in business art. My husband's like, another degree? Really? Do you need another degree? You know, I thought after, you know, we both got honorary PhDs, right? We almost believe we have them, but anyway. I remember like, oh, no. But I remember when I got it, I was like, oh my God, I have to go get a PhD. But I know that, you know, like, to me, when people say, you know, like, why are you successful, Josefina? It's not because I've gotten awards. It's not because my movie got made. It's because I feel like I am free. I mean, when you really look at it, like no matter what situation you throw me in, I am aware that every single second I have a choice about how I want to see the world and how I want to see myself, right? Most people are robots, right? When you're not educated and you don't have a conciencia, you're not aware or enlightened, you are a robot. You're just being manipulated by people. To truly be educated, and this is something you can do without having to go to school. I mean, school's great. So I'm constantly educating myself because I constantly want to say, wow, I want to be free every single second so that I have the power to create. Because you know what power really is, Gloria? I gotta say this, like, to me, when I heard this, I was like, wow. Power is always being in the present, knowing that you have a choice every single second. Most of us are caught up in shame, so we're caught up in the past, and we're never present to make a powerful choice. Or we're always trying to fix the future, so we're always trying to fix. But when you are aware in this moment, in this second, that you can choose anything you want, because you really are free, you can create anything. That is power, right? That's why when people are authentic, people are charming, is because they're completely present, choosing to be here. And I go, wow, that's power? You know, you think that power is force, you think that power is manipulation, you think that power is money, but in reality, power is knowing that every single second you have a choice. And so educate yourself every single second. Like for me, I'm always educating myself. I feel like if I don't learn, I die. Hopefully that answered your question.
One last question there.
Hi, my name is Gaby Hernandez Gonzalez, and I was born and raised in East LA. And I'm married. I have 3 children. I have 2 young ladies. They're budding teenagers. And one thing that always conflicts me is that I don't fall into that mold of the typical Chicana mother or Mexican American mother. I don't know how to make tamales. I don't know how to make, frijoles. I constantly have to go to my mom's to go. I don't fall into that mold yet. I'm trying to create leadership positions or a leadership attitude with my daughters, but at the same time, they're constantly, ay, ama, why don't you stop fighting? Ay, ama. So I'm trying to figure out how you dealt with the ay, ama moments with your kids when it came to, the constantly being in that fight, constantly advocating for society, constantly advocating for yourself. But at the same time, kind of compromising family life and family demands, and that's something I constantly struggle with, the I am mom moments.
And again, I don't think that I have it any easier because, like, I've gotten awards or I have to go through speeches and my kids don't want me to go, and then they cry, and then I feel guilty. And I remember I used to feel ashamed because, like, it's funny, I've dealt with a lot of different shame, but the shame of not being a good enough mother is the one that really gets women.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I've done so much therapy and healing, and I go, shoot, that's like the. And one of the things I know on a spiritual level is that your kids pick you, right? And so I know that my children pick me, and I'm the perfect mother for them, and that's why they're my kids. But secondly, I don't compare myself to any other mother. You know, I used to, my sister's a pediatric nurse who wanted to be a mom, and that was her goal. And I'd be like, how do you compete with a pediatric nurse who's always has snacks, has everything ready, always has the answers, like she can do CPR, she can save lives. And at some point I said, you know what? I'm a good enough mother, right? But I have to tell you that sometimes that is the compromise you make, right? But one of the things that I've gotten, you know, sometimes when I don't know what to do, I just go, let me just be real. Let me just share my mess with my kids. I don't want to burden them. I mean, I have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. I don't want to burden them with them having to take care of my feelings. But I want them to know why these things matter to me, right? I've cried to them when I talked about Cesar Chavez and why it's important to me. And, you know, I want my kids to grow up my kids are white, okay? When you see them, you think they're white kids, you know? So I want them to grow up Latino. But I realized that you can't shove anything to your kids because they will reject it, right? Their ego will just kick it out, right? So the only thing I've done is that I go, you know what? I'm just going to be a great role model for them. And I'm going to also show them that it's okay to be imperfect, that it's okay to be flawed. You know, like yesterday, I had an emergency. I had to go to the theater, and I left without saying goodbye to my kids. They were very hurt, right? And I've been feeling like, oh man, you know, I should have like da-da-da, and then I had to come here, and so I haven't seen my kids, right, since yesterday. But one of the things that I know I'm going to do is I'm going to have to sit down with them and apologize to them, you know? And basically have integrity around my word, because I said that I would always say goodbye, you know? And I think when my kids see that if I've broken a promise, then I have to own up to the lack of integrity that I have, and then I have to ask for their apology, and I treat them with that respect. I think me showing them that it's okay to be flawed is probably the most powerful lesson that they will get. You know, so I think for you, if you just, you know, I think being, you know, and the thing is, you have to remember, right? The kids' brains don't mature until the age of 27, right? So expecting a child to say, oh, mom, you know, and it's funny because sometimes my kids do understand. I'm going, wow, my kid gets it, wow. But sometimes knowing that, look, your kid's not going to like you maybe until the age of 27. That's when their brain fully develops. That's when kids finally get gratitude. That's when they finally get that, oh my God, my father and my mother were human beings, right? So sometimes as a Chicana leader, you're gonna have to go, you know what? It's okay if I'm a hero to some people and not some people, right? Because if you want to be liked by everyone, then go be a cheerleader, right? But don't be a Chicana leader, right? Because, you know, a lot of people will not like you. A lot of people will call you like slut or stupid or crazy, right? And I always tell people, like, slut, bitch, crazy, fat are the 4 words that stop women, right? So if you can be okay with being fat, crazy, slutty, bitch, and it doesn't stop you, you can be a leader. All right?
So I'm so glad that we taped it. It's going to be available, and you want to share it with all your friends. Don't you think all of your friends should have been here, because this is unbelievably powerful? But the other part of what Josefina is doing every single day is in her theater. And I hope that you will go on the website and look at the opportunity that you will have of great plays that she helps be a part of, write, coach, do all of the work that she does. But we also need to help support Casa 0101. Raise the money that needs to be there so it can continue to exist and be a part of it. She's bringing great changes to Old Boyle Heights just by the very existence of Casa being there. But it is tremendous. We are so proud to have Josefina as one of our leaders. I think we're going to get on TV real soon because of the power that she has. So let's help her move forward. Thank you. This is fabulous. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Before we conclude, I did want to bring up Stephanie Delgado, who has a special presentation. Do you? Yeah. On behalf of Whittier College.
This gift.
She's like, you're going to make me speak, oh my God. But on behalf of, I just wanted to make sure that we give a well-deserved applause for the time.
Yeah,
Sneak out, please. Those who'd like to stay and mingle and talk a little bit more, there's food in the back. Josefina will be here for a few more minutes. We'll be here for a few more
But
minutes.
she has to go see her kids too. So.
Yeah, so if you had a question, I know there was like 2 people who wanted to ask you something, but please welcome. There's food.